بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So as you mentioned last week, on Friday and Saturday inshallah, we're going to go through Tajweed, theory and practical bismillah ta'ala. So far we just took an introduction regarding some virtues of the Quran, some ahadith pertaining to it, and then the ruling of Tajweed and how Tajweed is obligatory, and if a person has the ability to learn it and he decides not to, and he's not reciting the letters correctly, then he is sinning. And then we started to take some of the letters, and we took two sets of letters. We took the first set of letters, which are known as the heavy letters, or they are also known as the full mouth letters. So these are letters where they are pronounced by the back of your tongue, going to the top, the roof of the mouth, and they are pronounced in a heavy fashion. So for example, the first letter is kha. So you don't say kha, you say kha. The next is sad. Then dad, ta, dha, ghain, qaf. So we went through these letters and I explained them as well and how to pronounce them. We also mentioned how do we test, how do we make sure that we are reciting it from the correct place. Is what you do is that you put like an imaginary alif or hamza before it, and you put a fatha on it, and then you put a sukoon or a shadda on the actual letter that you want to say, right? And then you stop on that letter, and you can feel it. Where's your tongue touching? And then you can see, is it touching the right place? So is it touching the top of your throat, the back of the mouth, or not? So we talked about that last week as well. The next set of letters were the throat letters. And we said that the throat is split into how many parts? 3 parts, mashallah. The bottom, the middle, and the top. So the top, you have 2 letters. You have ghain and kha. And in the middle you have 2, ayn and ha. And the bottom you have 2 letters, hamzah and ha. These are from the bottom of the throat. So this is where we stopped. We stopped here. We took these letters. Now we're going to take a few rulings, inshallah. Today's lesson should be quite easy in terms of pronunciation, but it might be a lot of terminology, especially if you're not used to this type of terminology. Firstly, let's go through all of the letters. So what we've done so far is that we went through 2 sets of letters, the heavy letters and the throat letters. And these, I specified these because they are generally the hardest. Right? The rest of the letters are generally quite straightforward. There might be a couple I need to comment on, but we're going to go through each of them inshallah, and once I recite each of them, I want you guys to copy what I say inshallah. So the first one is alif, ba, ta. So far easy. Now this fourth one, if you don't know how to pronounce it, then most likely you're going to pronounce it wrong. The fourth one is tha. So what you do, you bring your tongue out. Don't recite it like a sin. Don't say sa. That's a sin, that's a different letter, right? I know in Urdu you pronounce it the same way, but Quran is not revealed in Urdu. Allah didn't say bilisanin Pakistaniyin mubin. Allah said bilisanin Arabiyin mubin. Yeah? That the Quran is revealed in a clear Arabic language. So you bring your tongue out. Tha. So be very careful. If you don't do that and you say sa, you've read a different letter, and then that word could completely change and you could be saying something completely different. I'll give you an example, right? We took the letter qaf, right? Qaf. And next to qaf we have kaf. Qaf and kaf. If you test them, then aqa and ak. Aqa, ak. You can hear the difference. You know, if you go home to your wife and you say, anti kalbi. Yeah? What's going to happen? You're going to get slapped. Because what you've ended up saying is, you're a dog. You're my dog. But what you're trying to say is, anti qalbi. You are my heart. Yeah? So look, either she's going to whack you on or she's going to sign you up to a Tajweed class because you pronounce it incorrectly. Right. So make sure you pronounce them correctly. So tha, jim, ha. So we took ha from the throat letters. Kha. Was kha from the throat letters, the heavy letters? Both. There's overlap. Yeah? Dal, Dhal. Again, Dhal, same thing. For Dhal, you have to bring your tongue out. Don't say Za. Za is a letter that's going to come in 2 letters time. Right? So bring your tongue out. Don't say Za, Zalika. No. Dhalika. Dhal. Dhalika. Then we have Ra. Za. Seen. So the seen should be crispy. That sound. Seen. So قل أعوذ برب الناس. Yeah. Then Sheen. Sad. Dad. Ta. Dha. Ain. Ghain. Fa. Qaf. Kaf. Lam. Mim. Noon. Wow. So be careful here. Another common mistake, especially a lot of these mistakes, we Pakistanis, we make them. Don't say va, va. It's not a V. It's more like a W. So wa, wow. So don't say vallazina. Say walladhina. Then ha, hamza, ya. MashaAllah. Right. Obviously, I've gone through them quite quickly. But if you're not used to pronouncing them like that, what you need is a teacher. You can sit down with a teacher, one-on-one, you keep pronouncing it, the teacher keeps correcting you. And especially in the beginning, it might take weeks for you to sort out the letters. But Tajweed is one of those things that once you've got it, khalas, it's fine. Once you've got it and you've practiced it a bit, then it becomes second nature. It just requires a lot of practice. It's like riding a bike. In the beginning, you try your best, you still fall over. Once you've mastered it, you can do one hand, no hand, stand, sit. You can do whatever you want. Pay attention, text on your phone, which you shouldn't be, but if you do, you won't fall off. Why? Because you got used to it. Right? Okay. Another important thing, again, it should be quite straightforward, but again, as Pakistanis like to teach the Quran in Urdu for some reason. This is not Zabr Zir Pesh. Okay? That's in Urdu. Zabr Zir Pesh is in Urdu. In Arabic, Quran in Arabic, we should learn how to pronounce it and learn it in Arabic. So instead of Zabr, we should be saying Fathah. And instead of Zair, we should be saying Kasrah. And instead of Pesh, we should be saying Dhammah. Right? So Fathah, Kasrah, and Dhammah. Okay, heavy letters, throw letters. Right. This over here, again, it's not a jazm. It is sukoon. Sukoon. So when you join the letter, Alhamdulillah. Al, what's on the lam? Sukoon. Yeah, so what does that mean? It means that you join the letter and you stop basically on that letter. So if you look at these examples over here, right? وَقَدْ minhu. So I'm not saying minihu, manahu. I'm stopping on the noon. Minhu. Tubatu. Alayhim. Stopping on the ya. And so on. Right. Now we come to another important rule. The next rule is called qalqalah. What's it called? Qalqalah, in simple terms, means, it says at the bottom, what's qalqalah? An echo sound at the end of the letter. So for example, if you went into like a valley and you shouted your name and you heard an echo, is it going to be as strong as the way you said it? No. And if the echo is there and it's a good echo, is it going to be completely silent? No. It's going to be in between. Another way to maybe understand it is that if you get a tennis ball, if you throw it against the wall, does it stick to the wall? No, it doesn't. What happens? It bounces straight back. So this is what we're going to do on these 5 letters. These 5 letters are known as the 5 letters of qalqala. In other words, for the 5 letters that you have, if they have a sukoon on them, if it has a sukoon on them, then, or a jazm, if you're not used to that yet, sukoon, then you make a echo sound or a bouncing sound. And once we were teaching some kids, and one kid didn't do the qalqala. So he said, Ustad, he's not bouncing. Yeah, just the way he said it was quite funny. Anyways, these letters, you basically make like an echoing sound. So for example, look, let's take dal for example. If you don't make the sound, you can barely hear the letter. So if it was like, hamza with a dal after it, and you just said ad, you can't hear anything. Okay? So you make a bit of echo sound and you say ad. Now don't go to the other extreme, make it like a fatha. Ada. No, that's too much. It's in the middle. Ad. So all of them. Jim, aj. And that's whether, it doesn't matter what's before it. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. Ij. Uj. Ab. Ib. Ub. Ata. Remember, ta is heavy, so make it heavy as well. Don't say ata. No, ata. Ita. Uta. Qaf, again it's heavy. Aqa. Iqa. Uqa. Okay? And you got examples here. So for example, wal balad. So we recite, La uqsimu bihadhal balad. Yeah? So we won't recite it, bihadhal balad, or bihadhal balada. No, in the middle. Bihadhal balad. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. So you can hear that. Ahad, not ahada, and likewise not ahad. Ahad. The rest of the surah. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق. Okay, so these are the 5 letters of qalqala. Now obviously it's a lot of groups, a lot of letters to memorize. One way that you can memorize it, if you memorize this word, قطب جد, it's like a acronym, i.e. قاف طا با جيم دال, the 5 letters. What's the word? قطب جد. What's the word? So if I ask you what are the letters of qalqala, just say قطب جد. قاف طا با جيم and dal. Dal. Right, we got a shadda. Shadda is known as a double letter. Now, why does it mean double letter? I'll have to explain the origin of what shadda is. If we take Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi, what's after that? Rabbil. So you have Ra, and then you have a Ba. Okay, it's hard to draw on this, but no. That's how it's written, right? In the Quran. Okay. The origin of this letter is that, or this word, is that there's actually 2 bars. Okay? If you open up the letter, you look at the philosophy of the letter, you look at the origin of the letter, whatever you want to call it, it's actually 2 bars. And it's actually Ra, and let's say the first one has a sukoon, and the second one has a kasra. So what the Arabs did is, instead of writing the letter twice, join it together and just put a little sign there, which is that shadda instead. Now the reason I explain this is to show you that when you recite a shadda, keep in mind that it's actually 2 letters that you are reciting, not 1 letter. Therefore you have to stay on the letter a bit longer than normal. So don't say Rabbil, Rabbil. Make sure you stay on it long enough to show that it's 2 letters. And that's why the fuqaha are very strict in the books of fiqh. They say, they highlight this, make sure you recite the shaddas correctly, especially in Surah Al-Fatiha. Why? Because if you've not recited it properly, what haven't you recited? 1 letter. And if you've not recited a letter from Surah Fatiha, have you recited the whole of Surah Fatiha? You've not, missed out a letter. And if you've not recited Surah Fatiha, is your salah accepted? It's not accepted, it's pillar of salah. So you have to be very, very careful. So whenever you see a shadda, you stay on it a bit longer than normal. For example, the first example over here, don't say Allah, you say Allah, Tawwaba, yeah, and so on. Okay, we'll take one more set of rules, and there's quite a few rules, but try to, go it through with someone, test them if you really want to know them properly and learn them properly. And then tomorrow, inshallah, we'll take the rulings on mud. Okay? When do you stretch, how long do you stretch for, and so on. The week after, which we might even finish the weekend after, inshallah. Okay? But like I said, the theory, with Tajweed, theory isn't that important. With other sciences, fiqh, aqidah, theory is very important. You have to know the theory. Okay? Without it, you can't have any practical with it. But with Tajweed, that's not necessarily the case. As long as you know like the basics, the main thing in Tajweed is having a teacher and knowing how to pronounce it properly. If you are able to pronounce it properly, even if you don't know the theory behind it, it's fine. And your recitation is perfect. Okay? Right. We said, how many letters were heavy? Now, how many heavy letters are there? 6 or 7? 7. 6 for the throat letters. 2, 2, 2. Yeah? That's the formation, 2, 2, 2. But with the throat letters, there were 7. With the heavy letters, there were 7. Those 7 are 7 letters which are always considered heavy letters or full mouth letters, no matter what the circumstance. The next 3 letters are heavy sometimes. Sometimes heavy, sometimes not heavy. Sometimes full mouth, sometimes empty mouth. So it depends on the ruling. What are the 3 letters? Lam, Ra, and Alif. Lam, Ra, and Alif. These letters sometimes are considered pronounced heavy, and sometimes they are not. Let's go through them. The first is the letter Lam. Now this is not every single Lam in the Quran. It's only a very, very specific letter Lam, which is the letter Lam if it comes in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in Allah, there's a Lam, right? Only that Lam. In Allah or Allahumma. Any other Lam like Alladhina, Alhamdu, this rule does not apply. All of them are considered light, not heavy. It's only the word Allah that we are applying this rule to. So what is the ruling? The ruling is very, very simple. The ruling is, you got it over here. Number 1, if there is a fatha or a dhamma before it, it will be pronounced, the lam will be heavy. The lam will be heavy. Right, why does it stop working? Can't write. So, if there is it said fatha or a dhamma before it. If that is the case, then it will be heavy. So I'll put a H next to it. And if there is a kasra which is underneath, then it will be pronounced in a light manner. For example, you've got examples over here. The first example is inna, then Allah. Before the word Allah, what's on the noon? A fatha. Therefore, go back to the ruling. If it's got a fatha, it will be heavy. So we pronounce it Inna Allah. Take your tongue up. Inna Allah. You're not going to say Inna Allah. Inna Allah, no. Inna Allah. سمع الله يريد الله حدود الله. Look over here, حدود الله. The ha is got a kasra. So what's the ruling on this Allah, on this word? Is it heavy or light? You don't look at the end letter. Look at what's before. Before it's a dhamma, so it's heavy. Okay, that's a trick question. Okay. But then the last two, what's before? In Deenillah and Amrillah, what's before Allah? A kasrah. Therefore, these two will be light. So we say Deenillahi. We don't say Deenillahi. No. So Surah Nasr, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Go on. Huh? No? Alright. في دين الله في أمر الله. So that is regarding the lam of the word Allah. Understood? Okay. We'll take one more, or the next part. We'll skip this one for now, it's a bit complicated. Right. The letter alif. First question, what's the difference between an alif and a hamza? Alif is only considered an alif if it has a sukoon on it. Why? Because alif is a mud letter. So it doesn't come from anywhere. It just comes from the emptiness of your mouth. Ba, ta. It's not got like a set place that it comes from. If it's got a fatha or a kasra or dhamma, then it becomes a hamza. It becomes a, i, u. You can feel it from the bottom of your throat or your chest area. Okay, so when we say alif, we mean when it comes as sukoon, as like a mud stretching letter. Yeah, I, u, like that. What's the ruling here? The ruling is if before the alif comes a heavy letter, then the alif will be heavy. And if before alif comes a light letter, it will be light. Because alif, like I said, is just a mud. It's a very weak letter. It will follow the letter before. So if the letter before is heavy, this is also heavy. And if the letter before is light, it will be light. So for example, we have khalidina. Is the letter kha heavy or light? Heavy. So if I say khalidina, is that right? No. Should be khalidina. Okay. Is this right? Maluhu. Now, meme is light, so the alif is going to be light, not ma. Maluhu. Al-Zalimin. Is that right? Dha heavy or light? Heavy, so it should be Al-Zalimin. Qaf is heavy. Miqata. Yatasa. Sin is light. Yatasa'alun. Atraba. Okay. There's one more part which is the ra, but as you can see, there's a lot of rulings, so I don't want to give you too much. Inshallah, we'll take the ra tomorrow, inshallah. So to quickly recap these letters, or these rules, okay, from the beginning. We took that the three harakat, vowel signs, are known as what? Fatha, kasrah, and dhamma. Throughout as we've taken them. What's the letter with no vowel? This is known as a sukoon. The qalqa letters are 5 in the word qutbu jadin. Aqa, ata, aba, aja, ida, or ada. Shadda, double letter. 3 letters which are sometimes light and sometimes heavy. The first is lam in the word Allah only. It is considered heavy if it has a heavy letter before it, correct? Fatha or a dhamma before it. And it's considered light if it has a kasra before it. And then we took alif. Alif is heavy if there's a heavy letter before. It's light if there's a light letter before. Then there's a ra, which we will take tomorrow, inshallah. Now we'll just do a bit of recitation. We won't do recitation as long. We were on Surah Al-Mutaffifin. So those that want to open up Surah Mutaffifin on their phones or get a mushaf, you can do so. Or if you want to read from the screen, you can also do so. But before we continue, there is a car which is blocking people in. It's a Toyota YHIIUGR. No. Right, so we'll just do Surah Al-Mutaffifin for today. Inshallah, we'll suffice with one surah, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويل للمطففين. Notice the ta is in blue. Why? Why is it blue? It's a heavy letter. No. الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون. وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. ألا يظن أولئك أنهم مبعوثون. Why is the ba blue? It's not heavy. Qalqala. So what do we do on it? Good, we bounce on it. Good. So we don't say mab'uthun. أنهم مبعوثون ليوم عظيم يوم يقوم الناس لرب العالمين كلا إن كتاب الفجار لفي سجين وما أدراك ما سجين So notice the shut down the jim. سجين كتاب مرقوم ويل يومئذ للمكذبين الذين يكذبون بيوم الدين وما يكذب به إلا كل معتد أثيم إذا تتلى عليه آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين Over here the word قال, this alif, is it heavy or light? It's not blue though. It doesn't matter what the color. No, it doesn't matter. Forget the colors. Before it is a heavy letter, so it's heavy. You are right. Yeah, you are right. But then you change your mind. You need to firm it. Robert, okay. Asatirul. Is it asa or asa? Is it heavy or light? It's light because the scene is light. Yeah. كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Now there's actually a rule here which I didn't do, I thought I'd explain later, but you know what, I might as well explain it now. This scene, Hamza, what's this scene? What's it called? Don't know what it's called, Sakt. Okay, Sakt, scene kafta. What this means is, Hifzah students, Yusuf, what's Sakt? Pay attention. Sakt means, yes?
Is it like where you say the letter? Like you say it with that letter?
No, good try. Sakt is actually where you stop like normal and then you carry on. However, the difference is you don't take a breath. So normally if I was to stop, I would say Kalla bal rana, like I took a breath. But here you don't take a breath. So you actually stop and you don't take a breath. So like this. كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. It only comes in a few places in the Quran. But if you see it, in this Quran is a scene in the Indo-Pak. I think it actually says sucked. But if you notice it, then you stop and you don't take a breath, and then you carry on. كلا إنهم عن ربهم يومئذ لمحجوبون. ثم إنهم لصالو الجحيم. Okay, this alif, heavy or light? Heavy, sounds before it. Okay, what about this alif? قالوا. Heavy, why? Qaf before it, good. ثم يقال هذا الذي كنتم به تكذبون. كلا إن كتاب الأبرار لفي عليين. So be careful with the عليين. How many shaddas are there? 2. So stay on the lam and stay on the ya. لفي عليين. وما أدراك ما عليون. كتاب مرقوم يشهده المقربون. إن الأبرار لفي نعيم. على الأرائك ينظرون. تعرف في وجوههم نضرة النعيم. Okay, this word here, if I say nadaratan, is that right? Nadar. It's not qalqala, so it's wrong. So make sure you don't do qalqala, make sure you don't bounce on it, okay? So nad. تعرف في وجوههم نضرة النعيم. يسقون من رحيق مختوم. Okay, next ayah, ختامه مسك. That means that when people enter Jannah, ختامه, the ending of the story of the test and the accountability with Allah, finally it's whether paradise or hellfire. So the ending is these people have been entered into paradise. So Allah says ختامه misk. Misk is that beautiful fragrance. So in other words, we're a beautiful ending. So what we'll do inshallah to end today's lesson, we'll get Abdul Rahman to finish off the surah as well inshallah from this ayah ختامه misk, because it will be a ختامه misk inshallah. Abdul Rahman, go on.
ختامه مسك وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون ومزاجه من تسنيم عينا يشرب بها المقربون إن الذين أجرموا كانوا من الذين آمنوا يضحكون وإذا مروا بهم يتغامزون وإذا انقلبوا إلى أهلهم انقلبوا فكهين وإذا رأوهم قالوا إن هؤلاء لضالون وما أرسلوا عليهم حافظين فاليوم الذين آمنوا من الكفار يضحكون على الأرائك ينظرون هل ثوب الكفار ما كانوا يفعلون
Okay, بدأ ختام المسك. We'll finish inshallah and we'll continue tomorrow بإذن الله تعالى. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.